So on number one, you have a standard form quadratic trinomial where your a value is 1. So what we're going to do is factor by doing the parentheses and putting our x right there. And then we simply think what times what is the last number that if you combine together is a middle number. And you might want to make a list. -1 times 6, -2 times 3. And those are all the possibilities of getting -6. And the question is, which pair of numbers, when you combine them, give you the middle value b? And that would be what? 6 and -1, right? Now the thing is, if you take a look at 6 and -1, and if you were to add them together, it gives you a +5, not a -5, right? So we know we have the right numbers, we just have the wrong signs. So let's actually change those signs. I want to make that a +1 and a -6. And all I'm going to do is plug them in. +1, -6, and I'm done. So on number 2, you have a quadratic trinomial. The a value is 1. However, it's an equation this time. What we're going to do is set it up like always. And you need to think what times what is the last number that if you combine together is a middle number. And again, you could make a list of numbers if you want, like 1 times 8, or like 2 times, nope. 2 times 4, my bad. And that's about it, 1 times 8 or 2 times 4. Now, which pair of numbers combines together to give you the middle value 9? The 1 and the 8, however, you don't want it to be a +9. You want it to be a -9. So you have the right numbers, you just have the wrong signs. So all you have to do is change the signs, make that a -1 and a -8, then you're good. So let's plug that into our answer format when we factor. A -1 right there and a -8 right there. Now we've factored, and the whole purpose of factoring is to be able to use the zero product property to split it and solve. So I'm going to split it and solve. And that's going to be an x minus 1 equals 0, and x minus 8 equals 0. Just to refresh, the zero product property comes from the concept of if you have something times something and it equals 0, then the first something could be 0 or the second something could be 0. So that's why we set this one equal to 0 and this one equal to 0. And now we're simply going to solve both of them by adding 1 there, adding 1 there. You're going to have x equals 1. And adding 8 and adding 8 and x equals 8. So you have those two answers, y equals 1 or x equals 1 and x equals 8. Now number 3, it's already factored for you, so you could just jump right into solving that thing. Let me zoom in a bit here. So we're just going to jump right into solving it. It's going to be a x minus 3 equals 0 and a x plus 4 equals 0, which means that your two answers are going to be what? X equals 3 and x equals -4. I didn't really show my work there, I apologize. But anyway, let's move on to number 4. That one's a little more fun because, well, first of all, in order to use a zero product property, you need something times something equals 0. And in this case, you don't even have that. You have x squared equals 6x. So the first thing to do would be to move over the 6x. So subtract 6x. Subtract 6x, you'll have x squared minus 6x equals 0. And now you can think about factoring, splitting, and solving. However, this is not a regular standard form quadratic trinomial. Yeah, the a value is 1, but we can't do it's not a trinomial. So what other types of factoring do we know? Anybody? Pulling out the what? The GCF, which would be x. So let's pull out what's in common in both terms. So right here you have an x, right here you have an x. So let's pull out an x. And what are we going to have left over on the inside of the parenthesis? We're going to have a x and a -6, correct? And now we truly have something times something equals 0, which means we could split them and set them each equal to 0. So I want to do the x, I want to do it right here, x equals 0. And I'm also going to take this other one, the x minus 6, and set it equal to 0. And I'm going to do it over here on this side, x minus 6 equals 0. So what are my two answers? This one's already solved for me. It's x equals 0. And this other one, I simply go plus 6, and my answer is x equals 6. Ta-da!